Jars in my pantry, empty jars. That means we are at the end of our 90-day pantry challenge. This is the end of March 2025, and every year in the beginning of the year, we do a pantry challenge with Jessica at Three Rivers Homestead. She challenges a lot of different homesteading families and moms to do a pantry challenge, and everyone gets to set their own rules. But for us this year, we chose to try to go 90 days eating exclusively from this pantry. So we have over 3,000 quart jars that are typically full in here. Some of them are empty. I try to keep a couple years worth of food. And if you're interested in knowing everything I have in here, you can look at the pantry tour that I did a couple of months ago, and I'll try to link that here. But what I want to do today is just talk about what's left, what we've used up, what I need to restock, and what I need to grow in this year's garden, or what I need to focus on growing so that I can get these shelves stocked back up. As you saw, I was putting away empty jars. That's a constant thing that we have to do. And so I just bring them down here in a big laundry basket. It's probably not the best way, but it works fine for us. I just keep them in a cupboard in my kitchen, bring them down here, and then just stick them all right onto the shelf. I try to keep them put back close to like where I'm going to need them, right? So pint jars with the pints, and name brand quarts with those, kinds of things that I'm going to be using. And so let's just take a look here and see what's left and what I need to grow for this coming year. First up here is our shelf full of pickled beets. There's still quite a lot here on the shelf. Some of them we've probably used from the other side. I always send the kids down here to get things, so sometimes things are a little out of place and we have to come and fix them. This is mainly all empty jars that are going to need to be filled, and I believe this is the green bean shelf. Yes. So on the other side is a whole bunch of full jars, but this whole piece right here is empty jars. So I do need to grow some green beans this year. We've eaten quite a few green beans during the pantry challenge. Down here is dilly beans. So we have a fair bit of those, but look, this is the sweet dill pickle shelf, or one of them. And this is pretty empty. So a bunch of those jars I was putting away are going to end up going here. And I will need to make a bunch of sweet dill pickles this year. It's one of our very favorite things. You can find the recipes for a lot of these things on the blog, wagonwheelhomestead.com. And down here is applesauce. Let's see, I think that's pumpkin. So applesauce. So I do need to do some applesauce. I need to do some rearranging here. But hopefully we will have a good apple crop this year. I guess we will just see. You never know about the frost. But hopefully if the Lord blesses us with an apple crop, I will do some more applesauce. We've been eating on this, but keep in mind that it's the end of March, and we won't be putting up any apples till September. So we still have 6 months of eating out of this pantry, which we primarily do all the time, not even just on the pantry challenge. We try to do that most of the time. So a lot more of this will get eaten by September. All right, these are glazed carrots. They're one of my kids' favorite things. I try to keep them well stocked, but we are going to need to add some more here. Not too many, but a few. These are the canned apples. So I have a recipe for this on the blog, and we're going to need to do a few more of these, not too many. I'll have to look on the other side and see. I really haven't used as many apples probably as I should have. Then over here, I just have a bunch of miscellaneous stuff, a little bit of pasta for emergencies. This is something that I've added recently, and this is our tallow. So this is all shelf-stable beef tallow. And I use this in soap making, in cooking for all of our oil, and in making candles and whipped body products. That's really an awesome thing. And here's a few more sweet dill pickles, so that's good. But again, we probably won't be canning pickles till August. So even though it's the end of March, and it may look like there's still a lot in here, there's quite a few empty jars. So I think these are set to be filled with beef. My husband has this organized. I think these are supposed to be filled with some canned beef, so we'll probably try to do that before summer gets going too far. And this is the broth. So this is chicken broth. I have quite a bit of chicken broth, and then I have a bunch of beef broth that just hasn't been put away. We need to put it on these shelves, and then we need to make another spot for the rest of the beef broth. So the broth should be good. And I'll use some of this through the summer, but probably most of it will get used next winter. The potatoes keep sprouting, of course. We had 4 big buckets of these, and we have I would say about 2.5 buckets left. So we will, again, keep eating on these until July, as long as they keep. But I will also probably plant some for seed potatoes. And I just keep breaking off these sprouts and throwing them out. And that helps the potatoes to keep longer. We're still making mashed potatoes and fried potatoes and French fries out of these, and they're working just fine. I still have quite a bit of chicken, and I have a little bit of venison that we did last fall, and I will be filling a bunch of these with beef as well. So we have a couple beefs we got butchered not long ago, and when I get all the canning meat out, then I will get all of these filled up. These down here are just empty jars. And this is my favorite canned vegetable soup that you hear me talk about all the time. It's garden soup. And we still have a fair bit of that. Well, it's actually only this half shelf here. These are all empty. You can see all of those jars, except for this one, are empty. So that's going to be something I'm going to need to do this year as well. Just because this might be enough for 1 year, but if we got hailed out next year, I wouldn't be able to replenish if I let this get all the way down to nothing. So here's some of the vinegar that I made last year. Got a little bit of that left. I've been using it in some cooking. And water glassed eggs. And then these are all my spices and a bunch of the juice that I have canned. So we're good on everything there, but I do need to order garlic salt and taco seasoning. All right, this is some relish that's still left. Sauerkraut. I have quite a bit of sauerkraut. I need to get some hot dogs made and do like hot dogs and sauerkraut. And we've been eating some Reuben pizzas and things, but honestly, my husband and I are the only ones that really love sauerkraut. And I have been eating it a fair bit, but I need to focus on using more sauerkraut before spring. So I probably don't need to make as much sauerkraut this year. I've got plenty of sweet relish. This is goulash sauce, and these are banana pickles. We like these, but they're really sweet. We prefer the sweet dill pickles, so I'll probably not make any of those this year. The goulash sauce, I probably don't need to make much of that either unless I do a video for you guys. This is tomato sauce, and I just have those few jars left, so I definitely need to do some more tomato sauce this year. Oh, the other thing we're out of is V8 juice. So I need to get some V8 juice made. These are some dill pickles. There's a few jars, but most of this shelf is all empty jars. So that is all going to need to be restocked. What is this down here? Oh, this is ketchup. So back in there's a whole bunch of ketchup. There's some empty jars in front. I'm probably going to need to do a small batch of ketchup, but not a ton. Let's see. These are all empty jars. Tomatoes. I'm going to need to do quite a bit of plain tomatoes. We use those a lot, and we have used those a lot. So that's going to be something definitely on the list. Oh, I always try to grow lots of tomatoes. Let's see. This is salsa, I believe. And there's not that many jars of salsa left. So we're probably going to be eating those, you know, by August or September when we make more salsa. So I definitely need to do more salsa. There's a few more jars of these sweet dill pickles. So that's good. But again, you know, we've probably eaten 3 jars this week. So these will get eaten. And spaghetti sauce. So there's quite a few jars of that, but I try to keep a couple years worth because that's a staple food. Like if you have noodles and meat, you can easily make spaghetti. So I'm definitely going to make at least a small batch of spaghetti sauce because this area here is usually full and it's all empty. And then pizza sauce. I'm almost out of pizza sauce, so I'm definitely going to need to can some of that. Down here is a little bit of squash that's left. So this pumpkin is getting soft, so he needs to go. I've just gotten busy and not finished eating on those. This one though, he's still fine. So he was harvested in September, and look, he's still fine. Spaghetti squash, butternut. Butternut keeps the best. Butternut, and then that's an acorn, I believe. So I do need to bake up some of this, but you know what? It'll keep for a year. Squash is amazing stuff. And this is my onion mess. And so that's just onion peels on the floor that I need to clean up. The kids have been just pulling onions off of here. So we've vented this pantry since I gave you a tour of it a couple of months ago. And what that means is it's a lot cooler in here than it typically was before. So like right now, it's 60 degrees. We had it down to like 38 degrees in the winter when it was super cold outside. But it's 60 degrees and 40% humidity. So it's much better for keeping things. The onions have kept so much better since we vented it. And so I actually wish I had more onions. Usually by now they don't keep anymore, but I wish I had more. So yeah, I usually grow 1,000 onions. I don't know if I'm going to have room for any more than that. I either have to be happy with what I have or try to grow some more next year. But they've kept incredibly well. The other thing that I have in here is cheese, because I was keeping it in the fridge, and probably during the summer I'll keep it in the fridge because I don't know how cool it will stay in here in the summer. It's an unheated room in the basement, but you know, summertime, right? So anyway, this is Asiago. It was made the 1st of February, so it's probably ready to eat. But anyway, I've been just keeping my cheese in here, and that saves me on some refrigerator space. And then I've got some buckets of stuff. So this is like some rice that somebody actually gave me. There is pinto beans. There's a bucket of honey. There's wheat in a bunch of these buckets. So these are just all different buckets that I've gotten. I actually need to get my gamma lids on these. I'll try to do that at some point and show you guys kind of the right way to store this. But, you know, we've gone through our food fast enough that this has worked out okay so far. And just looking at the other side here, here's the rest of the green beans. So there is some, but definitely I need to do green beans this year. Probably not any dilly beans. There's plenty of dilly beans. And then over here is our fruit. So I have quite a few peaches. Hopefully I won't have to do peaches this year. They're expensive. Of course, we may eat some of those before August. I'll have to see in August exactly what to do. We've used some grape juice. We get to where we're drinking chocolate milk and stuff, and we forget to get the grape juice out. We've done it several times, and we need to do it more because our family will drink like 2 quarts at a time. And then the jelly, there's still a lot of jelly. I need some more strawberry jelly, but there's plenty of raspberry and these other kinds of jellies, but you know, they keep for a really long time. So then up here is my cowboy candy. I have plenty of that. I'm really the only one that eats it. I need to make sourdough crackers more often and cream cheese, and then that's, you know, that's a way that I would eat it. I just get busy and I don't always get it done. So that's kind of what's left in our pantry after 90 days of feeding our family of 7 exclusively out of here. I'll tell you what I'm out of and what I'm going to restock. I am completely out of flour. I ran out of flour yesterday, but in my defense, because I usually like to keep 6 months of that kind of stuff on hand, in my defense, I've been doing a ton of sourdough recipe testing for all of you. There's going to be a lot more sourdough recipes coming. I know that's what some of you are really here for. And so that's taken a lot of extra flour, which of course we've eaten it, right? But it's taken more flour than maybe what we normally would have used. And I also bake bread every single week and take it to town to some different people and sell it. So that has, you know, it's not exactly a true reading. The flour is always a little bit hard for me to keep track. I just always try to keep plenty in stock. So I am restocking some flour and some wheat from Azure Standard. I also buy some flour from Sam's Club, and I'll try to put a link for that in the description box below. I like to get the Dakota made. Now, I don't know if you can get that in all Sam's Clubs. I know that I can get it in mine, and I'm going to be going out of town this weekend and going to Sam's Club. So I am planning to restock a bunch of things, and you don't have to pay shipping. Of course, a lot of times Sam's will ship, but they don't ship the Dakota made flour. They only ship like the bleached enriched flour, which if that's all you can get, you can make some amazing homemade goodies with bleached flour. And I know I'll probably get comments saying it's terrible for you. Yes, it is. But it's better than buying your stuff at the store, okay? Especially if that's all your family can afford, it's fine, right? It's a step, okay? Just do what you can with what you have where you are. But what I'm gonna get is the Dakota made flour. They have all-purpose flour and bread flour. And I think it's like $11 or $12 a bag. Like it's for a 25-pound bag. It's really inexpensive. And it's unbleached. So it's high protein, it's good flour, it's unbleached. I get it from Sam's Club. That works well too. And then like I said, I'm getting some good stuff from Azar. But you know, for all the bread and stuff I make for farmers market, the Azar flour is amazing. Like you cannot beat it, but it's so much more expensive. So I usually try to get, you know, as good a quality as I can at a little bit cheaper cost just to make it worth it for me. So anyway, I'm going to be getting flour. That's a big one. And I'm going to be getting sugar. So I have honey, but I'm almost out of sugar, so I need to get sugar. And coffee. My husband's going to need some more coffee. I don't want to run to the store all the time. Like in general, I try to only, you know, stock up a couple times a year. Of course, if there's a little something fresh you need or whatever, totally fine, right? But it's just nice if you have all this food stored away. If there's if you lose your job or if there's an economic disaster or if food prices skyrocket, which they have and they continue to do so, or like what if all of a sudden your store runs out of food? You have all this here. And, you know, what if the electricity were to go out? Like I could eat this cold. I mean, it's soup, but it's fully cooked. It's ready to eat. Same with this meat, right? Like I can make a chicken sandwich out of this. It's already cooked. I don't have to have electricity. This doesn't require a freezer. So just things like that. I like to have my pantry stocked. You know, if I had to, I could go out and cook it over the campfire and we would be fine. Like we could survive for a long time. So I just love the peace of mind of having that. You know, when you're raising children, you're having a family, it's nice to know that you can feed them, first of all. Second of all, do you know how much extra money you spend when you go to the store because you see things that look good and you throw them in your cart, right? So, I mean, and the time to go to the store all the time. You know, I used to grocery shop. It used to take me like an hour a week to go to town and do. Not anymore. Like I could literally skip going to town, and I have. In fact, in the last 90 days, you know, I've gone to town to sell bread once a week, but there's been a couple times people didn't need the bread, and so I just stayed home. I didn't need to go for anything. It was so great. So anyway, let's see. Flour, sugar, coffee, taco seasoning. I mentioned the taco seasoning. What else am I getting? Oh, yeast. I'm almost out of yeast. Basically, you know, the things I don't produce are what I'm low on, and it's end of March. It's just time for me to restock on all of that. I'll probably get a little bit of pasta just for those really busy times, but I do have all that sourdough pasta that I just showed you guys how to make the other day. So I have all of that stored away in gallon jars. So, you know, that's a quick and fast way to eat pasta. And then we have some things in our freezer. Now, that's probably where I have fallen down on this pantry challenge. I haven't used as much out of the freezer as I wanted to, so I'm still intending on doing that. We have another beef coming next week, and I need to get in my freezer and figure out what's old and what needs thrown away, you know, what we just need to eat and get it on the menu in the next week and just get it taken care of. So I also know I have a bunch of elderberries, and I need to get those out and make elderberry syrup and just can that up, you know, just all those things before summer. So anyway, I'm actually going to be starting some more garden seeds today. I've got lettuce going, and then I'm going to be starting broccoli, cauliflower, and cabbage. And then next week we'll start the tomatoes. So the season is starting over. We're going to start over. We're going to fill this back up to the brim and be ready to feed our family. And, you know, we're going to stock up on those things like flour that we can't economically produce, right? I'm sure I could plant wheat and I could try to thresh it, but let's be honest. That's something that is better done with a big combine. So I'll just buy my flour, but I do like to have it well stocked, right? Because what if flour got hard to get? You know, we can do things with sourdough. We don't need yeast, but we need the flour. So, yep, those are the things that I'm going to stock up on. And the other thing I'm going to make sure I'm stocked up on is canning lids. I'm just looking down here and I see my canning lids. I know I have quite a few, but I've used a ton making all this broth this winter, and then I'm going to be canning up this beef before summer, and I may can a few of these potatoes. We'll see what I get to. And so I need to make sure that my canning lids are well stocked, because you don't want to get to August and all of a sudden be like, oh dear, I have these jars, but I don't have any lids, you know, because you want to have really good quality lids. I like the 4 jars canning lids, and I'll put a link for that in the description box below. They seal the best. And so you want to have all that stuff on hand so that you can enjoy the summer in the garden. I'm looking so forward to being outside when it's nice. And then I don't have to be worried about, do I have everything that I need? And so, well, I hope that this video has been entertaining for you, maybe inspiring, and giving you a look into like what we actually used out of our pantry. Like I said, we have not been to the store in 90 days. So we've just eaten things out of here. Again, we could keep eating out of here, and we will. We'll, you know, I'm going to do this one big restock, but then that's it. We're going to keep eating very similar to what we've been eating just out of the pantry, and I'll be doing some what we eat in a week videos. I've done a couple of those, and I'll do some more sharing with you actually what I cook and how that changes seasonally. And hopefully that inspires you to know that step by step, one thing at a time, you can build a pantry that will feed your family. You can live independently from the grocery store and be secure in your food. Not only is it healthier, it's less expensive, but you have the peace of mind as well. I'll see you in the next video.